A girl with a speech disorder was kicked to the ground by someone, but she didn't fight back. She kept apologizing over and over again, pleading for that person's mother to forgive her. But what did she even do wrong? The story really begins with a high school boy named Ishida. One morning, he sold off everything valuable he had. Then he withdrew the money he had saved from part-time jobs. He gently placed it beside his mother's pillow. Next, he drew a red X on his calendar. That mark meant he planned to end his life today. He headed to a bridge, but just as he was about to jump, the sudden sound of fireworks interrupted him. In that moment, he remembered something. There was still one important thing he hadn't done. He needed to see a girl. The timeline jumps back 5 years. At that time, Ishida was in middle school. He was seen by others as a delinquent. One day, a new transfer student joined the class. Her name was Shoko. She was born with a severe hearing impairment in both ears. During her introduction, Shoko pulled out a notebook from her backpack. She wrote, "I'd like to be friends with everyone through this notebook. Please write in it when you want to talk to me." At first, her classmates were kind to Shoko. They were willing to communicate with her through the notebook. But over time, this method of communication became tedious to them, and Shoko's harsh, unclear pronunciation gradually made them distance themselves from her. Ishida noticed all of this. He told Shoko, "If you don't do better, people will start to hate you." Then, Shoko used sign language to tell Ishida she wanted to be friends. She also let out a sharp, strained sound. Ishida, who didn't understand sign language, found her annoying. He grabbed a handful of sand and threw it at her to help the class communicate better with Shoko. The school brought in a sign language teacher, but many students were unwilling to learn. Only one girl named Miyoko stood up and said she wanted to try. After that, Miyoko also became a target of bullying. Just like Shoko, she became someone everyone made fun of. Eventually, Miyoko decided to transfer schools. Ishida blamed Shoko for Miyoko's transfer, so he began to lead others in harassing Shoko. During class, Ishida forcefully took Shoko's hearing aid. It caused bleeding in her ear. After being scolded by the teacher, Ishida just acted like he didn't care. Shoko felt like it was all her fault. She went to Ishida and wrote an apology in her notebook. She wanted Ishida's forgiveness. She even used sign language again to ask to be friends. But Ishida just threw her notebook into the water. Shoko didn't try to pick it up. Instead, she pressed it deeper into the water with all her strength. What Ishida didn't know was that his cruel prank had caused serious damage to Shoko. Even after getting a new hearing aid, she could no longer hear anything in her right ear. When the principal and teachers learned about the situation, they asked the whole class who had taken part in bullying Shoko. In truth, everyone had bullied her, but they all put the blame on Ishida. Ishida angrily called them out. He told the principal that every one of them had joined in the bullying. After this incident, Ishida completely broke ties with his classmates. He became the one who was bullied. His textbooks were thrown into the school fountain, and there, he found Shoko's notebook floating in the water. He opened it. Inside were pages filled with insults. When Ishida's mother found out what happened, she immediately took out a stack of money. She went to Shoko's mother to apologize, to show her sincerity, and to try to feel the pain Shoko endured. She ripped out her own earrings with her hands. Ishida saw the blood on his mother's ears. He fell silent. Not long after, Shoko transferred to another school, and Ishida became the new target of bullying. Years later, when Ishida saw Shoko again, he completely gave up the idea of suicide. He kept thinking about one question: what exactly is the definition of a friend? One day, Ishida happened to run into his old middle school classmate, Tomohiro. Ishida asked Tomohiro, "What's the definition of a friend?" Tomohiro told him, "A friend is someone who goes beyond words and logic." After hearing that, Ishida finally found the courage to go see Shoko. When they met, Ishida confessed that he had been looking for a reason to see her again, and to his surprise, Shoko had been feeling the same way. After a pleasant conversation, Shoko opened her notebook, but Ishida was too afraid to look at what was written inside. As they struggled over it, the notebook fell into the water. Without hesitation, Shoko climbed over the railing and jumped into the river, worried something might happen to her. Ishida jumped in after her. The two of them came back to shore completely soaked. As she left, Shoko signed "See you next time" with her hands. The next day, Ishida returned to school feeling happy. only to be hit with a suspension notice. Someone had uploaded a photo of him jumping from the bridge online, suspended from school. Ishida went to the park, where he ran into Yuzuru. She was Shoko's younger sister, and she was the one who posted the photo online. Because of that, Shoko and Yuzuru had a huge fight, so Yuzuru ran away from home, but Ishida didn't blame Yuzuru at all, seeing how pitiful she looked. He decided to take her back to his house, but in the middle of the night, Yuzuru left without saying a word. It was pouring rain outside. Worried about her safety, Ishida planned to take her home. He even brought her a pair of shoes. Yuzuru looked at him with doubt and asked, "Are you doing all this to redeem yourself? Because that makes me feel sick." Ishida replied, "I probably don't deserve to still be alive, but I just don't want to see Shoko cry anymore." Maybe those words touched Yuzuru, because her attitude softened quite a bit. Just then, Shoko's mother appeared. As soon as she saw Ishida, she slapped him hard across the face. Ishida knew deep down, what he did back then wasn't something that deserved forgiveness. A few days later, Ishida found out by chance that Shoko had always wanted to find Miyoko, the girl who once stood up to learn sign language and talk to her. After learning which school Miyoko was attending, he decided to go there by train. To his surprise, Shoko came too. On the train, Shoko sent Ishida a text to thank him. Seeing Shoko's smile, Ishida suddenly felt like he'd do anything just to make her happy. As they got off the train and were studying the map, a voice called out behind them. It was Miyoko. Even after all these years apart, Shoko and Miyoko didn't feel like strangers at all. They immediately started chatting in sign language. They even ignored Ishida completely and dove into girl talk. Feeling awkward, Ishida made up an excuse and left the scene. That day, while waiting at a crosswalk, Ishida happened to see Shoko across the street. Out of nowhere, Naoka got onto the back of his bike. Back in middle school, Naoka had a crush on Ishida and she had bullied Shoko with him. But now, Ishida's mind was entirely focused on Shoko. He didn't even register what Naoka was saying. Following his gaze, Naoka saw Shoko too. Driven by jealousy, Naoka ran straight toward her, catching Shoko completely off guard. She snatched off her hearing aid. Ishida was deeply offended by Naoka's behavior. He took the hearing aid back and kept apologizing to Shoko, but Naoka wouldn't let it go. She grabbed the hearing aid again and asked if they were together. Ishida sincerely replied, "We're just friends," but his words made Naoka laugh bitterly. After mocking both of them, she turned and left. That day, Shoko did something unusual. She tied her hair up in a ponytail and asked Ishida to meet her, because she was going to confess her feelings. Nervous and anxious, Shoko arrived at the meeting place. Ishida was stunned when he saw her. It was the first time he'd seen her dressed up like that. When they met, Shoko didn't use sign language. Instead, she kept trying to speak out loud, but Ishida couldn't understand what she was saying. Shoko asked if her voice sounded strange. Ishida nodded instinctively, and immediately regretted it. Embarrassed, Ishida just wanted to leave quickly, but Shoko grabbed him from behind and nervously said, "I like you." Ishida didn't understand, so Shoko gathered her courage and said it louder, but he still couldn't understand what she was saying. Shoko had only wanted to say her feelings out loud. She never imagined it would turn out like this. When she got home, she collapsed onto her bed. Yuzuru was confused by her behavior. Shoko told her that she confessed to Ishida, but he didn't understand. For the next few days, Shoko didn't show up at all. Ishida was deeply disappointed. Yuzuru suggested that he invite Shoko out to hang with them, so Ishida messaged her, asking if she wanted to go out with everyone that weekend. Just like that, after so many years, the old group reunited, with laughter and joy. It felt like all the painful memories had faded away. But then, Naoka asked Ishida to come buy snacks with her. That's when Ishida saw someone he never wanted to see again. The moment he laid eyes on Shimada, the memories of being bullied by him came flooding back. It was then that Ishida finally understood why Shoko's mother hated him so much. Maybe people who bully others aren't meant to be forgiven at all. Naoka followed behind, trying to explain that she just wanted everyone to get along again. Ishida sat on the edge of a flower bed, visibly dejected. Naoka said bluntly that she really didn't like Shoko. If Shoko had never come into their lives back then, maybe Ishida wouldn't have been isolated by the rest of the class. But Ishida didn't agree with her. After all, it was all his fault. There's a legend that when someone dies, their soul turns into a butterfly and flies to the side of their loved ones, just to say a final goodbye. Shoko's grandmother had passed away, It all happened so suddenly. All Ishida could do was take Shoko away from the noise of the city. They went to a quiet, remote place to feel the peace and calm of nature. At the dam, Ishida wanted to go down together with Shoko, but the moment he turned his head, he clearly sensed something was off about her. She was smiling, but the sparkle in her eyes was gone. Ishida slipped and fell to the ground. Shoko rushed over and kept apologizing in sign language. She felt that anyone who got close to her would end up unhappy. Ishida quickly stood up and said, "This has nothing to do with you." Deep down, Ishida knew that he was the one who had caused Shoko's unhappiness. From that day on, Ishida stayed by Shoko's side, just hoping he could make her a little bit happier. Shoko noticed all of this. She even invited Ishida over to her house to celebrate her mother's birthday. They made a cake together. But when Shoko's mom saw Ishida, she wanted to kick him out. Thankfully, with Yuzuru and Shoko both pleading with her, she decided not to. During the celebration, Yuzuru and Shoko invited Ishida to the fireworks festival the following week. The fireworks festival arrived as planned. When the fireworks burst into the silent night sky, they bloomed into dazzling colors. In that moment, Shoko felt a deep peace. She closed her eyes, as if making a decision. Then she told Ishida she was going home to get something. When Yuzuru returned and learned that Shoko had gone back, she had sent Ishida to fetch the camera, hoping to give them some alone time. When Ishida arrived at Shoko's house, he noticed the door was unlocked. As the fireworks exploded overhead, he saw Shoko standing on the balcony railing. Panic took over, and he sprinted toward her. Ishida used all his strength to save Shoko, but he accidentally fell off the building himself. Ishida was rushed to the hospital for emergency care. In the hospital lobby, Ishida's mother saw Shoko's mother. Instead of blaming her, she softly said, "I'm so sorry for causing you more trouble." But Shoko's mother fell to her knees, begging for forgiveness for what her daughter had done. Meanwhile, Naoka let all of her anger out on Shoko. She blamed everything on her. If Shoko had never appeared, Ishida wouldn't have been bullied. He wouldn't have fallen into depression, wouldn't have tried to kill himself, and wouldn't have risked his life for her. Just then, Shoko's mom arrived and got into a physical fight with Naoka. Luckily, Ishida's mom showed up just in time and pulled them apart. She looked at the bruised and battered Shoko and didn't know what to say, because she knew Shoko was a victim too. She had done nothing wrong. While Ishida was still unconscious, Shoko tried to visit him, but Naoka blocked her at the door. Just then, Tomohiro showed up. During their conversation, Shoko confessed to Tomohiro that she had destroyed the friendship between Ishida and the others. Now she wanted to fix everything she had broken. She first went to find their former classmate Miki, then Miyoko. Both of them were happy to see her again. Only Naoka still harbored resentment toward Shoko, but Shoko didn't complain. Every day, she stood patiently at Naoka's door. That night, Shoko had a strange dream. She dreamed she was back in middle school. Everyone was gathered around her, smiling, but Ishida was missing from the picture. Suddenly, she heard Ishida's voice saying goodbye. She jolted awake. Shoko began running through the streets, desperately heading toward the little bridge where they used to meet. She looked around, but Ishida wasn't there. That moment, Shoko couldn't hold back her tears. Ishida suddenly woke up. It was as if he had heard Shoko calling out in tears. He pulled the medical tubes from his body and stumbled out of the hospital. As he ran, he kept saying Shoko's name. When he reached the familiar bridge, he finally saw her. Shoko couldn't believe it was real. She slowly walked toward Ishida and gently reached out her hand. Seeing that Ishida was safe, Shoko finally felt at ease. The next day, Ishida's mom came to pick him up from the hospital. She told him that during his coma, it was Naoka who had been by his side the whole time. He met with Naoka. She told him it was Shimada who had rescued him. That left Ishida completely stunned. Before leaving, Naoka said, "Welcome back." Soon, it was time for the annual school festival. Ishida got up early to get ready. Shoko had texted him, saying she would be coming too. When Ishida arrived at the school gate, Shoko was already there waiting. They walked into the campus together, and people around them started whispering. Ishida grew nervous. He told Shoko that he had always been isolated at school, that he could never meet anyone's eyes. It just felt easier to walk with his head down. Shoko replied that it was okay. Then she gently grabbed his hand and led him forward. In the hallway, Ishida saw that everyone had shown up. Mickey even handed him a box of paper cranes she had folded just for Ishida, holding the crane in his hands. Ishida was deeply moved. Everyone gathered around, offering apologies to one another. Even Naoka started teasing Shoko in a playful way, seeing how much everyone had changed. Ishida realized it was time for him to change too. He invited everyone to walk around the festival together, surrounded by his friends. Ishida finally stepped into the crowd with courage. He looked around at everything, took a deep breath, and slowly lowered his hands from his ears. Youth is a journey with no way back, one that always leaves behind regrets and scars. But precisely because of that, we must learn to forgive and to reach out. A silent voice teaches us that every "I'm sorry" is a beam of light, and every "it's okay" is an ocean of healing. May you and I become that gentle voice in each other's world, soothing the silence and the pain of the past.